when I seen the news was going to happen last night, I got this anxiety feeling, but it's ultimately I'm grateful. Uh, I'm grateful for that we can close another chapter in the story and keep moving on. Because this is, to me, today is another step towards closure, uh, that we can, my family can have closure, that I can have closure.
Why was that closure important to you?
I don't know what it's going to feel like, to be honest. I don't know how it's important to me, but I don't, after this long, I don't know. I'm scared of that feeling of the day that they say they found Trudy and the day that I get a phone call that they positively identified her. And I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel. That kind of scares me. But
Just to ask, have you guys been in contact with police through this entire process?
yeah, yeah. They Detective Griffin. He updates us uh, when something's happening. He lets us know. Uh, what he can let us know. Some of it's got to be kept close to their chest, but he lets us know when something's up. And if I got a question, what's going on with this, I can ask him. Now we got the two states attorneys involved, and they've already said that they're going to be in contact with us.
So there will be continual contact.
Oh yes, yes.
Um, so how long ago did you did you first find out about the indictment?
Uh, Pretty much when you guys seen it on the press conference. Yeah. That they had told us that there was going to be an indictment, that there was a grand jury going to convene, but we didn't know when the indictment was going to happen. And when I saw that there was going to be a press release today, I knew this is what it had to be about. Uh, so when I seen the press conference, that's when they confirmed what I had already suspected.
Were you surprised at all after 29 years?
Relieved. I wasn't surprised. I was relieved that they're actually going to charge him. I was relieved that uh, it's not his crime is not going to go unanswered. I was relieved that his crime's not going to go unanswered, and that it'll help us take that next step towards closure.
He was named a person of interest back in 2020.
Yes, he's been a person of interest for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been on their radar since the beginning.
Have you heard, did they get any new evidence or new family witness stuff? What kind of led to them deciding he was the guy?
Everything that happened up to today was a culmination of events, pieces of the puzzle, uh, leads, investigation on their part, and it all led up to putting the pieces of the puzzle together and presenting it to the district attorney so they could get an indictment, so they could charge him and arrest him.
So what was then your reaction in 2020 when his name was first brought up to at least people?
I didn't know of him at that time. The only people we knew of was Ed Smith and Ed Smith and Dave Whipple. Uh, Jamie Fisher was a new name to us back then, but they've been watching him since the beginning. And if you look at the sketch drawing of the Trudy's neighbor they drew a sketch of the person driving the car. It looks like him, a younger version of Jamie Fisher.
I think this was the first time I heard that she had been strangled. Were there details like that that you heard today that?
There was details that I heard today that we did not know. That was hard to hear. That was hard to hear. There was things that they talked about that was news to my family and I. Being strangled is one of them. That's, we knew that she'd been murdered, but how? Now I don't know if strangled is just a generic term for their murder charge. I don't know.
Do you think if they have details like that, then maybe there's been a confession, or somebody knew something and finally said something after all these years?
I don't think they have a confession. I think from what they've told us, it's just everything is a culmination of all the pieces of the puzzle coming together.
What does it mean to you that they kept working for the 29 years for this to eventually end in this indictment?
It means a lot. I can't even count how many detectives have been on the Moline Police Department on this case. I can't even count how many detectives have been on the case and then police chiefs and detectives would come and go, and to know that all the information they collected over 29 years played a part in the indictment. All that evidence that they collected over the 29 years played a part in getting an indictment and charging him. The fact that the detectives now are working with the evidence that they got 26 years ago, it just all came together.
Are you satisfied with the indictment?
I don't know that I could be satisfied. It's a lot of heartache, and the only way I could be satisfied is if they took that heartache away and made this never happen. It should have never happened. That's the only way I can be satisfied.
You mentioned closure a lot. Does it bring closure at least?
The beginning of it. It's the beginning of closure. To me, closure will come when I put a headstone on Trudy's grave. When we've lost my grandmother, Trudy's great-grandmother, my parents, Trudy's grandparents, Trudy's mother, my sister, and My sister and I are the only ones that are left that knew Trudy. And being able to lay her next to her mother and put a headstone on her grave, then I feel like I can take that breath. But until then, even if Jamie Fisher's convicted, even if he goes to prison, I still won't have that full closure. I'd give up them convicting him just to have Trudy, just to have her and put her to rest. I'd give all this up today.
You mentioned there was, this is a step towards closure, but there's like all those people you mentioned that passed without knowing.
They passed without knowing, and they didn't get to see today happen.
We were out at the cemetery earlier. Is there something you would say to Brenda if she was here?
We're getting close. We're getting close, sister. I miss my sister. I used to have 2 sisters. I still have one.
It just seems like along the way, all the people you lost.
Yeah.
That just didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're still here, though.
Yes. That's what I try to do. My whole goal is to keep Trudy's name on the forefront so that people don't forget about Trudy, so that people don't forget about the case, so that if people remember the case and they keep talking, then the truth is bound to come out. And also, if Trudy isn't forgotten about, also what happened to her won't be forgotten about, so that the culture in the society of the Quad Cities will remember what can happen, but also the good that people do in the Quad Cities. There's a lot of good people in the Quad Cities, and there's no reason people should be afraid because of one guy did a bad thing.
We talked to a gal out at the cemetery who just randomly stopped at the bench and wanted to leave flowers.
Yes.
Today, just she remembers Trudy as she's the community's girl. She said obviously the pain she feels is nothing compared to what the family feels.
Yes.
But she wanted everybody to know that she cared and it changed the way she parented.
I believe that. I believe that when Adam Walsh disappeared and John Walsh started his organization, that the bad thing that happened to Adam Walsh, look at the good that come out of it. With when you go to the shopping market and there's a missing kid, they had a code Adam. Now we have an Amber Alert because what happened to an Amber? There was a girl named Amber that disappeared. All these bad things had good things come out of them. So I'd like to see something good come out of Trudy's disappearance.
Can you imagine what that good might be at this point?
For everybody, it's going to be different. I think some of it's already happened. I think people have taken what happened to her and changed the way they parent their kids. Sad to say, but we don't live in the 1960s and 70s no more, where you could run free and come home and come home when the street lights came on. Now we got to do things a little bit different with our kids. But that change is a good thing. So I think the change that would happen from it is different for everybody. For me, I've become part of a search and rescue team with the Quad City Missing Persons Network. It feels good to me to help other families have closure. And I've given that help. My team and I have helped other families find their loved ones. And that's a good feeling. So hopefully other people will take something good out of the bad thing that happened. Unfortunately, there has to be evil for you to be able to see the good. You don't see the good until you see the evil too.
Feel good? Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to the Quad Cities and at large? I mean, people that are, been following this closely too.
Thank you. Thank you to the community for the support. Thank you to the community for not spreading more rumors and gossip and making it worse. Thank you to those who step up and squash the rumors and say that's not the truth. You need to think before you speak. Thank you to the community for your support and coming to the vigils every year. Even though it's kind of like going to a funeral every year, the community does come and they support us. And
Do you think that this indictment will change the feeling of the vigil that's set for next week?
it's going to change the atmosphere, but it's not going to change our mission. And the mission is we just want to remember Trudy, honor her, and the atmosphere is going to be different. I have a feeling it's going to get a lot bigger than we have in the past. But the more people that come to the vigil means that there's more community support. There's more community that are paying attention to what's going on. I guess not to boast, but I think Trudy has become kind of a figure in the Quad Cities. When people see her face or hear the name, they know exactly who she is. They know exactly who Trudy is.
It's not the way you want her to be known, but you've done your mission.
Yeah,
Getting that out there.
I don't want her death to be in vain. Something good come out of her death.
I think you guys are doing a good job of that.
We try. I don't think we were given a choice, but you deal with what you get the best you can.
You guys been dealt a tough hand. You're a strong family.
Yeah. We stick together. Somebody else asked me if I could talk to Jamie Fisher. What would I say? And I'd just like to say he needs to pick on somebody his own size. He should have thought of that 29 years ago, but he should have picked on somebody his own size. Instead of picking on an 11-year-old girl.
Say the number one thing you would want out of him is where she is.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows a hell of a lot more than what he's saying. So, why somebody would keep that a secret for 29 years, I don't know. That's some kind of twisted, messed up brain that he's got to keep that inside. That being said, I don't hate, because hate is a strong word. I don't like to use that word hate. I don't like what he did. I hate what he did by taking her away. But it's hard for me to hate somebody. I just wish he could understand the hole that he ripped in my family's heart. If I hate him, then he's winning, and I got hate in my heart, and that's not getting me anything. So I'm not going to hate him. I'm going to let him stew on his own, what he created. He dug the hole, he's got to live in it. But
You're a stronger person than I am. I would outright hate that guy. Well, do you know what's next? I mean, there's an indictment, but does that mean there's a trial? Does that mean somebody has to, you know what I mean? Is there anything else after this? Is he just automatically?
well, there'll be a trial, but the wheels of the justice system take a while. So we could be talking 2 years before it goes to trial. Who knows how long it's going to take. And then that'll take place in Henry County.
I think it happened in Kelowna.
Because it happened in Kelowna.
So the mission's not over yet.
No,
Close. Another step. Big
there's
step.
still some chapters to the book to be done. The book isn't over yet.
It's a big chapter today, though. That's for sure.
It's
Feels like
a very big chapter.
Yeah. Thank you.
You
Ray.
asked me if I thought this day would ever happen. I don't know. I'd probably say that I didn't think it was going to happen. But if it didn't, I would have been okay with it not happening as long as we found her.
Thank you for taking time and talking with us and sharing.
Thank you.
Of course.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
And when you answer, would you be able to stare at Marshawn? That way we keep the framing the same.
Sure.
Okay, so with this indictment, how do you think others that are actively looking for missing people in the QC missing person, or how do you think this helps
I think this gives people the confidence that the justice system does work. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes 29 years. But the justice system does work. It just takes, and I've been saying this for over 20 years, we need that one person to talk. And they had people at the grand jury that talked, and all those pieces of that puzzle just had to come together. It wasn't just one person, it wasn't one piece, but one person's statement and another person's statement went together to make a big piece of the puzzle.